You know what, Bears girl? Win or lose, the Bears are playing really exciting football.
And we got the best place to buy your game tickets, Aldo.
Get your tickets now at TixBlitz.com. They have the best ticket selection with great prices and no service fees. The price you see is the price you pay.
You heard that right, Bears fans. No service fees.
Right now, TixBlitz.com is having a flash sale. Use the promo code FLASH5 for 5% off your tickets.
That's TixBlitz.com. TixBlitz.com.
They also have tickets for concerts, other sports, music festivals, and it's the Barroom's favorite place to buy Bears tickets.
TixBlitz.com, where Bears fans buy tickets.
This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and we're brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and BetChicago.com, your source for all of Chicago's sports and betting news.
Jets are bringing extras. Trubisky floats a pass, caught wide open. There goes Cohen 40. Midfield, big block to the 30, to the 20, angle 10, 5, end zone, touchdown. They beat the blitz. Touchdown Bears. They've got the lead. Cohen, 70-yard catch and run. Here's the snap and placement. Kick up by Jason Myers. It is good from 42. In the same end of Soldier Field that Parkey missed from 40. It's 7-3 Bears, second quarter on the field. So they're going to be at the 4-yard line here. 5 on the play clock, takes the snap. Trubisky throwing left side of the end zone. Catch is made, backing up. They did not say, now they do. Touchdown Bears. Anthony Miller with a grab. The rookie from Memphis from 4 yards. 13-3 Bears here in the third. Right hash, out of the hole to O'Donnell. Snap and placement made. Cody Parker, he swings his right leg into it. It goes up and through. 17-3, Bears have the lead. Jets trying to take advantage of the penalty on Eddie Jackson that kept the drive alive. Snap back to Darnold, staring down the left side, going the left side. He's got his man at the 1 and into the end zone for the touchdown. On a throw left to the rookie tight end, Chris Herndon. Jets pull within 17-9 here in the fourth with 11:10 remaining. Snap, Trubisky, handing off, Howard, again, lowers his shoulders, he is in for the touchdown! Touchdown Bears! 23-10, 7:08 to go in the fourth, 2-yard plunge, Jordan Howard. And that's the kind of drive with Jordan Howard that you can do with a lead in the fourth quarter.
We came out and we started fast. Defensively, I thought it was really good to be able to try to stop the run. That was one of our big things going into this, was stop the run. They did that. We had a total of 6 3-and-outs, which is good. Offensively, started out good, running the football a little bit. We stalled there in the red zone and had the unfortunate missed field goal. And in the first half, just we weren't really clicking. We were a little off, but we came in at halftime, made some adjustments, and I thought what I was most impressed with the offense was being able to respond after the touchdown that they had. They made it a 7-point game, 17-10, and we came back and had an 8-play drive for 79 yards and had 5 first downs. So those are the type of things that I like to see from our offense, is responding and growing, and there's going to be growing pains with the other stuff. And so I was also happy for Jordan to come out here and play well. And then he broke that 24-yard run there at the end. That's what we like, in those situations. Chew up some first downs. They use their timeouts, and so I was happy for him, and we can all get better there. We still need to get better in the run game for sure. They focused on what we talked about, being aggressive and finishing. Finish was a big thing, and then protect Soldier Field. So.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is Bears on Tap, and you just heard Matt Nagy recapping the Chicago Bears' 24-10 win over the New York Jets at Soldier Field. Thanks to WBBM Radio for the highlights. My name is Aldo Gandia. Danny Shimon, the Barroom's chief scouting director, joins me briefly. A cursory look at the stats of the game showed that the Bears dominated the Jets in every facet. Almost 200 more total yards of offense, 10 more first downs, over 120 more rushing yards than the Jets, penalized only twice to the Jets 8 times, and they accomplished all of this without Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson. Dominance. Complete dominance, right? Well, not really. It should have been the type of game that a slaughter rule should have been in effect by halftime. So why wasn't it? It was because another lackluster performance by second-year quarterback Mitch Trubisky. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, the Bears only led 14-3. And according to ESPN, outside of that 70-yard screen to Tariq Cohen, Trubisky failed to complete a 10-plus yard pass downfield the entire first half. Time after time, Trubisky missed on passes that he should be connecting on. Yes, there were other issues with the team, and Danny and I will cover those, but this quarterback's inaccuracy is becoming bothersome. Yes, he's young. Yes, he's on his third offensive system in 3 years. Yes, he's playing with new weapons around him. But no, you should still be able to hit open receivers who are only 10 yards downfield. No, asking for 4 solid quarters of passing accuracy isn't unheard of. And no, I'm not giving up on Trubisky. I'm just really concerned that his accuracy issues could lower his ceiling to an average or slightly better than average quarterback. And that's not what we should be getting from the second overall pick of the draft. I now bring in Danny Shimon. Danny, how you doing?
Wow, you are on fire, Mr. Aldo. I am great. How are you this evening?
Well, I'm a little hot under the collar is what I am.
I could tell. Did you take your blood pressure medication? Are we good to go here?
I did not take my blood pressure medication, but I will have a drink. Maybe that'll calm me down.
Yeah, have a drink for me as well. Well, I mean, the good thing is they won, right? Was it a pretty win? No. Was sloppy in the first half, and you're right. Some of Trubisky's inaccuracies downfield continued. We saw them pop up in their ugly heads in this game as well. But I'll take an ugly win over a pretty loss anytime, any day. And they were able to pull off enough plays and make enough get enough turnovers or stops on defense to be able to pull out a victory. But yes, I mean, I tweeted out earlier during the game, it was 7-3 at the half, and it felt like the Bears were dominating the game, but the Jets were still in this game. And one thing you want to do is you don't want to give these bad teams who are injury riddled a belief that they have a chance to steal a game on the road. So that was my concern going into the half, and luckily that didn't transpire. The Bears were able to pull off the victory, but yes, I mean, are we still seeing the inaccurate throws downfield by Trubisky? Do we still see some dumb penalties by this team? Yes, we're still seeing them, but we'll take the victory and then hopefully improve on some of those deficiencies and continue to next week into Buffalo.
Danny, as a scout, what are you seeing mechanically with Mitch Trubisky that leads to this inaccuracy? I am not a scout, but when I looked at quite a bit of tape of Trubisky down at North Carolina, and I noticed that left foot of him just sometimes gets wide, super wide, and it leads to inaccuracies. He got away with a lot of it in college because of the nature of the college game, but here in the pros, he's not getting away with it. And is that the issue, that his footwork is the main culprit behind these inaccurate passes?
That's typically it. That it's a quarterback's footwork is key in order to thrive downfield, in terms of accurate throws. And Trubisky, you'll see him do a lot of throws off his back foot. You'll see a lot of throws where he'll get rid of the ball prior to even setting his feet. There's times where he'll stride into his throw and get a bit of a wider the normal stride. Not sure why he continues to have these kind of problems, and that's something that I'm sure the coaching staff is harping on him and continue to work with him, in terms of practice and all that stuff. But generally, if you see a quarterback make inaccurate throws downfield, 90% of the time it's because of the footwork, and because he's not setting his feet while he's making his throws. And if you notice, a lot of Trubisky's inaccuracies are within the pocket, right? But I've said time and time again, once he rolls out, when he's out of the pocket, he's on the run, he's more accurate than he is when he's in the pocket. So that's something that they're going to have to keep working on. But the one thing that kind of concerned me is because this kid came out of North Carolina known as an accurate passer. Now, a lot of those passes he threw in that offense were quick screens and where he got the ball into the receiver's hands really quick right off the snap. But he did make nice downfield throws, and even last year we saw him make some nice downfield throws. Even this year we've seen him make some nice bucket type throws downfield, hitting guys in stride. But now it just seems like it's off. And the only thing I can relate it to it's got to be his footwork, and it's got to be his ability in the pocket to be able to get that straightened out, get that cleaned up. I think once he has that done down pat, I think he'll be a much more accurate passer. Again, it could be that this offense is something that he's getting used to. A lot of these passes are rhythm passes, are passes that he's got to get 1, 2, 3, get the ball out of his hand. There's times he's just holding on to the ball a little bit too long. Again, Anthony Miller, I think, or it might have been Taylor Gabriel today, had a step on his guy downfield, and the ball was way overthrown. So, we were told last week by Coach Nagy that a lot of these bad throws were just him getting rid of the ball, throwing the ball away. So I mean, that is what it is. But there are definitely some throws that he's still airmailing and selling high and inaccurate downfield. But I did see some progress today in terms of his play in the pocket. We can get into that now, or we can break it down later on. But it's up to you. But yeah.
Let me tell you that Chaz Robertson, I agree with what he is saying in the chat room, that Trubisky is still thinking quite a bit, and that there is no doubt that the processing by Trubisky is still a challenge for him. And I think that besides the footwork, it also is the mental aspects of the game where he has to think so much about what he's doing, and he's so inexperienced. What the offense that he ran in college is just, in my mind, I think is betraying him here in the pros. He's basically a puppy dog, and so he's got all of these obstacles to overcome. So go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and break it down? Go to where you were going.
Well, going back to his college days, he had a 1-2 read offense. What that means is a lot of times they would cut the field in half for him. They'd say, all right, here's your number 1 read, here's your number 2 read. If not, either tuck the ball or just get rid of the ball. So, he had clear concept, prior to the snap of where he's going to go with the ball. Here with this, it's more of a read and react kind of offense. There is no set, route pattern for a receiver. A lot of times the quarterback and the receiver have to be on the same wavelength in terms of we're reading the coverages, we're seeing where the safety's playing, we're seeing what kind of leverage the cornerback is playing, whether he's playing outside leverage, inside leverage, and then pays on the safety. Do you have a safety over the top? Do you not? Stuff like that, down and distance, all these play into effect in terms of how the receiver's going to run his route, where Trubisky's going to throw the ball. Perfect example was that touchdown pass to Anthony Miller. He says he changed the play at the line of scrimmage, or he changed Miller's route at the line of scrimmage, telling him how to run his route because he saw the coverage and how the coverage dictated that. And what he did was he put the ball back shoulder to a spot where the cornerback couldn't get to the ball, and only Miller could get to the ball because the corner didn't have his eyes at Trubisky. So stuff like that, you see progress, right? So stuff like that's going to become second nature to him. One thing I noticed today was he did a good job of stepping up in the pocket. He felt outside pressure from the outside from both tackles. He did a nice job of stepping up in the pocket, and twice he found the underneath receiver cutting across the field, picking up first downs. So stuff like that is progress. In previous games, he felt that outside pressure, and he would just roll out, go and try and get outside the pocket and trying to get away from it. No, you just step up in the pocket. As long as the inside of the interior offensive line was doing a good job of creating a little hole for you to step up into, he did that and got first down. So that to me is progress. The touchdown pass to Anthony Miller is progress, right? Again, we do not want to see those inaccurate throws downfield where he's overshooting guys who have leverage on their defender, or have a step or two. If you hit them in stride, that could possibly be touchdowns for sure, long gainers. But it's just something that until he gets fully integrated and comfortable in his offense and gets his footwork cleaned up, it's just stuff we're going to have to deal with in terms of the development of this young quarterback.
Well, the day started with news that Khalil Mack was not going to suit up for the Chicago Bears, and after the game, Matt Nagy was asked about what was the decision process that went into that.
This morning, I mean, literally hour to hour for us. That's where we're at with this. I told you that a few days ago, and I'm telling you, this is something. Trust me, he wants to be out there, and you know that from his history of playing. But this morning, we talked to him, and we just talked to our trainers, and it was just something where we just felt like, you know what, for him and for our team, it's the best thing to just let him sit this one. And so, fortunately, we came out with the win, but that's just how it goes.
The hope that he could go next week. This isn't a setback or anything like that. No,
yeah. The hope is that he can, but again, this is a day by day, daily, hour by hour. It's one that I really haven't been a part of before, just because of where he's at, and so it could be a similar situation, but I just think right now that was what was best for him and what was best for us. And we had guys that stepped up. I think that's the other thing that you can't get lost in this is when a great player like Khalil or another player like Allen doesn't play, we have guys that step up. And I'm proud of our guys for doing that and understanding that, knowing that, hey, here we go, it's my time, and next man up.
The good news is that it wasn't a setback for Khalil Mack. The bad news is that one of the players that did not step up is Leonard Floyd. Is Leonard Floyd becoming a bust? And he played well a year ago before that injury against the Detroit Lions. He had 4 sacks, and it looked like he was finally starting to turn things around. But since the club came off, it looks like he's even playing worse than he did with the club on. What's going on with Leonard Floyd, Danny?
I think it's just a young player who's starting to press now. I think he's reading his press clippings. He's seeing all the chatter that he's not, doesn't have a sack yet, and so on and so forth. I think he's just starting to press now. Now, in terms of Nagy saying guys stepped up. Now, yeah, I mean there was a little bit more pressure. I think Hakeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman did a good job of collapsing the pocket a couple of times on Sam Darnold. But in terms of sacks, there was only 1 sack, and that was off Bryce Callahan blitzing off the edge. Quarterback hits. I believe there's only 2 quarterback hits registered on the stat sheet. So I don't know who stepped up, but I guess Hakeem Hicks stepped up, and Brian, Eddie Goldman stepped up in terms of interior pressure. Even where Robertson Harrison got in there a couple times, got in the face of Darnold and of course Bernal Nichols. But the outside guys didn't step up. Now, to Floyd's credit, he did I think, in my opinion, did a better job today of playing the run. A couple times he was able to set the hard edge, force the running back inside to where there was players there, teammates there ready to tackle him, for minimal gain. So a couple times I saw him make some plays in the run game. Now officially he was only credited with 2 tackles, so nothing on the stat sheet jumps out at you. But is he a bust? I mean, for a top 10 pick. We're still questioning whether or not, he's worthy of that high selection. I mean, at time, I'm not going to call him a bust yet. I'm going to give him to the end of this year. But like you said, last year he was, it looked like the trajectory for his career was on upward swing. Now it just looked like he's kind of plateaued. The one thing about Floyd come out of Georgia, one thing I had concerns about, besides the slender build, was he was not a defined pass rusher. He was more of an athlete that was, used to roam around the field, that uses athleticism and his speed to create pressure on the quarterback, to create sacks. He didn't have a pass rush repertoire. He wasn't really known as a pass rusher. As a matter of fact, his teammate, who today was playing on the Jets, Jordan Jenkins, was no more of a pass rusher than he was. So, that was something that we were hoping that they'd develop. So, but, curious enough, now there's rumors out there that the Bears are listening, are getting calls and offers on Leonard Floyd. That'd be interesting to see these next 36 hours whether or not they get an offer that they can't refuse and they pull a trigger on a trade, because he's going into what I call Kevin White territory, right? He's going to come into an option next year. Are they going to pick up that $14 million option? Are they going to just decline like Kevin White and let him see what he does? Pass rushers are at a premium. So if you don't pick up the option next year, you let him go into his, last year as a free agent, and he puts up double-digit sack numbers, or he has a breakthrough season. Now you're looking at a guy who's going to get paid a lot, and a guy you might lose for nothing. So, depending on what they're getting in terms of calls, offers, if you get a decent offer, I think there's a chance they might trade him. But In terms of going back to your original question, is he a bust? I'm going to give him the rest of the season to determine if he's a bust or not. Again, even that's going to be hard to really call him a bust, depending because all the injuries he actually gone through the last couple of seasons. But we'll see. But definitely, spotlight's on him. He needs to step up. Imagine if we didn't have Khalil Mack. Imagine, we were thinking we need a pass rusher opposite of Leonard Floyd because Leonard Floyd's going to give us those 8 to 10 sacks that we are needing. And but imagine if we have Khalil Mack, who would be our pass rusher right now? So definitely the pressure's on the kid, and I do think some of the rhetoric is finally getting to him. And I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, but unfortunately, there's no results on the field in terms of sacks.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Kevin White and in that topic of trades. I know you weren't talking about trading Kevin White, but I got a gut feeling that Kevin White might be shipped out before Tuesday's 3 p.m. Central trading deadline, and that the Bears might pick up, either a 7th-round draft pick or journeyman guard, given the Kyle Long injury. And for those of you who did not watch the game or know the news, Kyle Long suffered what looked to be a very serious foot injury. He went down in a heap. He was crying out in pain, according to Charles Leno Jr., which is why Leno called to the sideline to get a medic out there as quickly as possible. And then when Long finally got up, he wasn't putting any weight at all on his right foot, at the same foot that he had the ankle injury a season ago. And so after the game, Matt Nagy was asked about it, and he said that because the injury occurred late in the game, that he really didn't have any news to share. And so we're keeping our fingers crossed, as is everybody at Hallis Hall and everybody throughout the Bears universe, that the injury to Kyle Long is not a serious one. But nonetheless, this team might be in the market for an offensive lineman, a veteran offensive lineman who can step in and help. Would you not agree that perhaps the Bears might be looking for an offensive lineman this week?
Yeah, again, depending on the status of Kyle Long, and it's really a shame. I mean, he was really running into form, becoming, he wasn't the Pro Bowl player he was a couple years ago, but he was getting there. I thought, he was, showing that some of the athleticism, he was getting some of that back. Now, the only good news is it's not the ankle, it's the foot. That the ankle, was one obviously has given him problems the last couple of years, and the one he had surgery on in the offseason. So, hopefully that's the good news, but hopefully it's not, a broken bone in his foot or anything like that. So, but in terms of yeah, I mean, they're going to have to go pick up someone to especially with Eric Push also hurt. I mean, his neck injury, we don't know. He was inactive today, so we don't know how serious his is. And then, they're going to have to go pick up one. Now, are they going to be able to get us, starting caliber or close to starting caliber guard for Kevin White? I doubt that. If you take a look at what he's done, he hasn't put up much in terms of, on tape to warrant another team to come on and get him. So, will they trade Kevin White? I highly doubt it, because I don't think they're going to get anything of value that they're going to want to just trade the kid for now. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, I think if Long's injury is potentially season-ending, or if it's a long-term injury, you have to go out there and obviously pick up someone to come in and play, as a backup right now at guard.
One of the reasons I think Kevin White is going to be shipped off, because it buries the disappointment. It buries the news, the headline news, that this guy was a first-round bust, that this guy who was Ryan Pace's first pick as a general manager for the Chicago Bears, selected in the top 10, just never got it together. We ran a poll today asking if was this going to be the game that the Bears were finally going to see Kevin White score his first touchdown as a Chicago Bear, and we had a vast majority of people think that it was. What was the number? 70% expected White to score his first touchdown as a Chicago Bear, and it never even came close. In fact, when he made a nice reception over the middle, it was called back because of penalty. The poor guy, nothing seems to go right for the guy. And I do think that he's got talent, and I do think that some team is going to take a look at what he's done and remember the tape for Virginia and say, you know what? I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on this guy for a late-round draft pick, or for Joe Schmo here, one of the offensive linemen who's just collecting cobwebs on our bench. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Kevin White is shipped out on Tuesday.
Okay. I mean, I would be, to be honest with you, I would be surprised, but not that.
But I'm telling
Bears
you not
wouldn't want to trade him. I would say the Bears want. I'd be surprised another team would want to come get him. That's the only thing there. But in terms of potential trades, I mean, if this Jake Leisure report is true that they are getting calls on Leonard Floyd, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Leonard Floyd get traded if anybody on this team gets traded this weekend or this next 36 hours.
So just let's play that hypothetical out. If Leonard Floyd is getting attention in trade talks here, what does Ryan Pace want back? If the news on Kyle Long is not good, is he then looking for an offensive lineman, or is he looking for a straight up trade of edge rushers, of disappointing edge rushers like Hassan Reddick over at Arizona? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if anything, I think what he's going to try and do is he's going to try and recoup some of that draft capital he had traded away, part of the Khalil Mack trade and Anthony Miller trade. Now, will he get a first? No. Will he get a second? No. Will he get a third or a fourth?
Yes.
We don't know. But if you can get a third for Leonard Floyd, I would highly consider it. Just because of the fact that what we talked about earlier, he hasn't performed. Again, are you giving up on a guy too soon? Possibly. But also you could be recouping some draft capital, and then you can also give kids like Isaiah Irving and Kylie Fitz some playing time. You're not getting much production from Leonard Floyd as it is right now. Probably the same kind of production you probably get from these young guys, and we'll see what they can do. Again, once Mack is healthy, you have him starting, and you have opposite him, you have Aaron Lynch, and you're gonna mix in the young guys like Fitz and Irving and all those guys. So. If you get a third round pick, I think if they get a third round pick, I think they might pull a trigger on it. But in terms of getting a starting caliber offensive lineman right now, I don't know. I mean, the Giants are having a fire sale. Is there anybody on their offensive line you want to go get? I don't know. Eli Manning looks to be running around for his life every week. So, starting caliber offensive linemen here are in the NFL, through weeks, 6 or 7, it's hard to find.
Well, and again, I never said a starting offensive lineman. You're not going to get a starting offensive lineman off any team, that's for sure.
Right.
But you need somebody who's a veteran, who has played the game, who can pick up a playbook and digest it quickly and can go in there and provide some help. So we'll see.
But you can get those guys off of free agent wire. A guy like that. You're not going to give up Leonard Floyd. Albeit, again, we're talking about a guy who hasn't produced, but yet a guy who still you have hope for, who could be something that you develop into, in terms of a pass rusher. You're not going to give him up for, a guy you can, equivalent to a guy you can pick off the street.
And I would be unhappy if Ryan Pace is trading anybody for draft capital, not when you're tied for first. I don't know what the standings are. I haven't looked at it. I know the Vikings lost. All the NFC North teams lost. So I think the Bears are in first place right now. Not when the Bears are in first place. Not when they're fighting for their playoff life. You're not going to trade for draft capital. You need to trade for players who are going to make your team better now. And so that's the only way I'm trading Leonard Floyd. If I'm not getting a good player in return or a promising player in return, then Leonard Floyd stays and we kick him in the butt every once in a while. Hopefully he'll start getting some sacks because there's still a chance he could turn around his season. So I'm not trading him for no damn third or fourth rounder. No way. All right, let's get back to this football game. And early on in the game, after the Bears drove down in the first series and then the series stalled, and unfortunately Cody Parkey, Shane Marsal's favorite kicker in the whole world, missed a 42-yard field goal, I think it was. But then the Bears on the second drive scored a 70-yard touchdown that was basically a very short pass by Mitch Trubisky. It was a screen pass, and this is what Coach Nagy said about the play.
They brought cover zero there. So we having a screen versus cover zero, usually they work out pretty well. There's times where, I'm going to go back to Tariq on that play. When you bring cover zero, they have a bunch of safeties and linebackers that are blitzing or second-level guys that are blitzing, and it's hard to get through the weeds to get to the flat. And he did that, and he has a good knack for that. The other part that was hard is you got to be able to make a touch pass over top some defenders that know you're throwing it, and he made a nice, what we call a free throw pass over the top. caught the ball. Now, the other part that was great, other than the offensive line, was Taylor Gabriel's block down the sideline. So it goes from a 30-yard gain to whatever it was, 70-yard gain for a touchdown. Those are fun to teach when you're watching that tape, because it's across the board great effort. That was a big play, to have that touchdown and get the lead and play from ahead, and then have our defense go ahead and come out and do a great job, getting 3 and outs and getting the offense the ball back.
So what'd you make of that play? I thought, first of all, it was great to see Tariq Cohen run in a straight line. And secondly, I thought it was a brilliant play call.
It was a perfect play call for that type of defense. Like you just said, cover zero. They're basically, they're coming all out. They're bringing everybody, and it was just a perfect play call. They caught him. The Jets are Todd Bowles is an aggressive coach. They play an aggressive type defense, as you saw today. I think they blitzed maybe about 60-70% of the time today. And they caught him in a cover zero blitz, and that was a perfect play call. Nice, like he said, nice, touch pass on, get that ball out to far enough out there to Cohen, and there was nobody around him. He just ran 30-40 yards before you even saw Jet come into the picture. So perfect play call, perfect play design, perfect timing on that, and next thing you know, it's 70-yard big play. And going back to talking about parking, I think the Bears have a kicking problem. I know they gave this guy a contract, and I think it's $8 or $9 million guaranteed, but this guy's got to make these kicks. We say 50+ yards, he has an issue with that, fine, but anything under 50 is guaranteed. It was a 42 or 43-yard field goal. You can't miss these. You're getting paid handsome money here. I think the Bears have a kicking problem, but we'll see what happens, what transpires later on in the season, but. The Parkey is shaky at best. But yeah, going back to the play, terrific play call. Caught him in the right coverage and everything. And you see, it's funny how Nagy goes out of his way there to compliment Trubisky and throwing that, what he calls it, a free throw pass. He calls it, yeah. So, but yeah, it was like I said, perfect design, perfect play call, nice pass, big time play, and it gave them a spark, because after that missed field goal, everyone's like, what's going on here? But so that kind of got everybody revved up again, got the crowd into the game again. So it was a big play, definitely a big play.
Definitely a big play. And then the other thing on offense that was interesting about today's game, Sunday's game, was that Jordan Howard finally was allowed to do what he does best, which is close out a game in the second half. Would have definitely have liked to have seen him get more carries in the first half. But let's listen to what Matt Nagy said about Jordan Howard. And then, Danny, I want you to comment on Jordan Howard's first half and then his second half, the differences in play.
This was like the true definition of persistence over resistance for him and for our offensive line. We know we got to get better with our running backs and with our offensive line. Take the quarterback runs out of it. We got to get better in a run game. I don't know exactly. I can't tell you, again, talking about the pass game, when it's going to exactly click. But we're going to keep fighting and trying. And so what I liked was he had a bunch of runs there where he just kept chewing up a couple yards here or there. You weren't really feeling it. And then, boom, he popped it in 4-minute type mode, that 24-yard run. And that's refreshing for him. It's refreshing for the line. It's refreshing for us. And I was proud of him. I don't know. I think he had, 22 carries. And so we just keep plugging away. But I'm really proud of him.
I am proud of him, too. I'm proud of Coach Matt Nagy to finally get Jordan Howard plus 20 plus. We had a poll before the game. 61% of the Barflies listening or participating in our Twitter poll, 61% that said that Jordan Howard would get 20 plus carries, and they were, of course, right. It was good to see, right, Danny?
Oh, my God. I come on here every week and saying, listen, Jordan Howard needs to have at least between minimum of 20 to 25 carries a game. He is not a 10 to 15 carry back who can, spring 150 yards for the touchdown. He's a guy who just pounds on defenses and just continues to churn around those 2, 3, 4 yard runs. And the next thing you know, they're 7-yard runs or 10-yard runs or 15-yard runs. He got 22 carries today. Possibly, should have probably got 30 carries today. Going back to the first half, I wrote down, I like the I like the even play calling in the first half, but I would love more runs because I saw the offensive line moving the defensive front of the Jets off the ball at post snap, getting movement at the point of attack. There's no reason why you should have abandoned that run game. The weather wasn't great. It was windy, a little rain here and there. Perfect time just to give the ball to Jordan Howard and let him do his thing. Fortunately enough, that happened in the second half, and I even tweeted out at one point where they got first and goal. I think it was 2 straight runs to Jordan Howard. Finally, I think the second or third run, he bowled into the end zone for a touchdown. I'm like, thank God, he didn't get too cute there. Mm-hmm. They didn't do any, triple option, pistol, left, right, whatever play he calls. He just gave the ball to Jordan Howard, let him run up the gut, and got that touchdown. So. Jordan Howard, once again, I stress it every week. This kid needs between 20 and 25 carries a game minimum. Trubisky past temps only be between 25 and 30. In a perfect game, because you don't want this guy out there, trying to win the game for you. Again, in a perfect game, you have the defense that stops the opposing team, and you have a ball controlled running game that can continue to churn out yards, and you have a quarterback then who could pick up, first downs through the air and with his feet as well. So I love the carry amount. Look at the stats right here. The Bears ran for 34 times. That includes Trubisky's six carries and 1 Anthony Miller carry. But they went for 34 rushing attempts, 179 yards, averaging 5.3 yards a carry. That's what you got to do. That helps your defense. That helps your young quarterback. Eases him, doesn't put all the pressure on him. So again, I come out here every week, stress Jordan Howard. Today was a prime example of how you can utilize this kid.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Trubisky's second half, where he definitely had a much better half than he did in the first half. What I was most impressed with was his touchdown pass to Anthony Miller. Let's listen to what Matt Nagy said about that particular play.
So what I like, there was some drop 8 down there. So anytime you drop 8, it was the opposite of cover 0. So now they're rushing 3 guys, and they have an extra defender, and it's a good defensive call for him in that situation. When that happens, now it's not about the play; it's about the players. And that's exactly what happened there. The quarterback made a hell of a throw. Anthony made a hell of a catch. They adjusted, threw it back shoulder. That's in my world, that's a special throw. That's one of those special throws. And at a time where you need that, you can't come away with 3. So I was really proud of those guys for that.
What Nagy did not say there is that Trubisky actually changed the play, the route that Miller was running at the line of scrimmage, and that is very impressive that he did that. What can you tell us about that particular play, Danny?
Yeah, that was something I talked about earlier, pointed out. That's some of the progress that you see in Trubisky's game, right? That being able to recognize that pre-snap, being able to communicate that to your receiver, and then being able to execute it, putting the ball on his hip, behind, back shoulder, getting the ball cornerback, knowing that the cornerback doesn't have his eyes to Trubisky, that he puts it out there that he's not going to be able to see it or pick it off. So that and like I said earlier, stepping up in the pocket, feeling the outside pressure, moving up in the pocket, finding the underneath guy, getting the first downs. Those are big. I think that first drive of the second half really got Trubisky going. He had back-to-back completions for first downs to Josh Bellamy and then also to Taylor Gabriel. So I think that got him in a good rhythm. And then, of course, it proceeded on from there. So, again, good placement. And then, of course, Miller being able to use body control, strong hands, being able to sense to where he's at in the field, getting both feet down. Also a terrific play in this part as well.
Every once in a while we get a special visitor here at Bears on Tap. A couple of weeks ago we had one of the Barflies on, Brandon Janoski. And this tonight we've got Bobby Bombs. Bobby Bombs has stopped by. Bobby Phelan, he is one of the hosts of the Barfly Tailgate Show, which is on 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central here on the Bears Barroom Radio Network. He and the fellow Barflies do a sensational job of getting us all stoked up and full of information, necessary information for the upcoming game. Bobby, a great show today. What are your feelings about this Bears win today?
I appreciate it, man. Danny, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How are you, Bobby?
All right. Yeah. I mean, dude, I wasn't impressed. Like the first half, honestly, I just wasn't impressed. I think Mitch is, he struggles in the first. He goes in, and I think he's a good, I would say, learner. Like they make the adjustments, and he follows through with them. But the first half, I honestly wasn't impressed, and I was kind of shocked there was no turnovers today, like no interceptions. Both these defenses come in pretty strong, stout on getting them turnovers done, and there wasn't. I don't think there was one for either team, right?
That is correct. There was not. I know that Danny's really
in terms
upset
of offensive futility. I mean, neither team got into the other opposing team's red zone until I think it was 8:40 into the third quarter. So that's how bad both offenses played in the first half.
I know Danny was really upset with Kyle Fuller mistiming the jump on that one, what should have been an interception, right, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, that was a play that I think if he does obviously a better job of timing his jump, that's probably an interception. Worse it's a pass breakup. But what happens? He mistimes it, goes to as a big play for the Jets. A lot of people are blaming Eddie Jackson for a couple plays prior to that for extending that series with a penalty. Now, I personally thought it was a bad call by the referees. So I think, although you're on the side of that it was a bad play on Eddie Jackson's part, but I think if Kyle Fuller makes that play or does a better job of timing his jump, I think that's a big play for the Bears. That's a turnover. Worst case, it's a broken pass breakup, and it's incompletion. Instead, he goes for a big gainer, and it propels the Jets to a touchdown.
Bobby, what are your thoughts on that particular play? You think Eddie Jackson, that was a bad call by the official, or do you think that Eddie Jackson was undisciplined there?
I think Eddie Jackson was undisciplined there, but honestly, I was okay with it. I just wanted to see a big hit, and I was like, something to fire the defense up. I think he was undisciplined, but I also think it was kind of, when you slow it down, it looks a lot worse than it does in the bang bang style of throwing, and watching the play live. But I like seeing the big hits, and I think. The timing and all that, but either way, Eddie Jackson, he could have pulled up. He knows he should have pulled up, but I think he's frustrated also, and wanted to lay someone out, and just doesn't have the discipline to pull up yet.
My concern.
What happened there? Well, when they slow the play down, it looks bad. It looks like it takes an extra step, but at full speed, that ball goes through the receiver's hand. So if he does slow up and that guy catches the ball. Then Eddie Jackson goes in high for the hit. He misses the tackle, and the guy runs by him. Then we're blaming him for a missed tackle. But his thing was, this ball, a guy might catch his ball. I'm going to try and dislodge him from the ball, and the ball goes right through the receiver's hands. On the telecast, they say, the ball was sailed over the receiver's head. It wasn't sailed over. It went right through his hand. So he's if the guy makes that catch, Eddie Jackson's there to dislodge him from the ball, and now we're lauding him for a great play.
Oh yeah, if he makes that catch, Jackson just depletes that dude,
pops him,
and we're all celebrating Jackson and the way he comes up and hits.
Exactly. So we're asking this guy to make a split-second decision to pull up on a guy that should catch the ball. The ball went literally right through his hand. So I'm not going to blame Eddie Jackson on that. It was a bad call in my opinion. And did it help the Jets move down the field? It did. But I can't blame him for that, because I want my safeties to be aggressive. I want my safeties to come up downhill, and if they have to deplete a guy. He didn't go head hunting or anything like that. He was just trying to break up a pass. And if the guy makes that catch, and then Jackson pulls up and the guy runs by him, we're all giving him crap for playing soft or another broken tackle.
And sometimes, man, you gotta those hits. You gotta lay those hits down in the first half or the first quarter. And I know this one was later, but you lay those hits down and you let those receivers know you're not.
Exactly.
This is not going to be easy for you.
You set a tone. Yep.
Exactly.
Even if you get a 15-yard penalty, you know what? That set a tone. Hey, you guys are coming down across the middle. We're gonna lay wood on you. We might get a penalty here and there, but we're gonna lay. You're gonna feel it. So the Jets are already depleted receiver-wise. I think they're down to their second and third string receiver. So at that point, I don't mind my safety setting a tone there.
Maybe the Jets could use a Kevin White. Who knows?
Well, they can. They can. That's why I was hoping Kevin White would see some more action to kind of showcase him. But instead, it was Josh Bellamy being showcased, according to one of the guys in the chat room. Hey, I strongly disagree with both of you guys on this Eddie Jackson. If you go over to my mom's Twitter handle, which is at Aldo_Mama, she posted the video of Eddie Jackson taking 2 steps when the ball has whizzed past his face. He takes 2 steps to make this hit. But you're looking at it at slow motion. Look at it at full speed, though.
I
have, Danny. I have. And here's the thing. The thing is that this guy, if I was the coach of the Bears, I'm not a coach. I like to play one on this podcast. But if I was the coach, this guy would be on my probation because of his poor tackling the last 2 games. So he has to come into this game with stellar tackling technique. And that was not stellar tackling technique. That, under the new rules, you just cannot do that, hit a defensive player. And let's remember that penalty led to the touchdown that made this game much closer than it should have been. The Jets were within 1 touchdown of us late in the game. That should have never happened. That's part of the reason why this win felt so dirty, because of plays like that. Eddie Jackson making those that stupid penalty, Mitch Trubisky being inaccurate, other issues with this team that this team should not do. Now, I get it. This is a young team. This is a team that's growing. This is a team that's learning and so forth. But the reality is still the reality, that these things happened and that they have to be cleaned up, particularly if we want to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a bonehead play. I do. Like I said, it was undisciplined. It was bonehead. But then again, like, maybe it's me just, me playing safety years and years ago. But I just like the hit, man. Like,
sure, I love
when
it
the
too.
When the hit happened before the flag came out, like live when the hit happened, I gave that scream, and that, like, hell yeah, here we go. But then the flag came out, and I'm like, shit. And and it does. And I mean, I'm not sure about you guys. I got that feeling though after they scored that touchdown, like that happened, and the pass happened, and they scored the touchdown, and you get that feeling that we've all had over the past however many years of, damn, this thing is going to be close. Like, if we don't march down and do this game's going to be a close one right now.
Right, it was another 1-score game again. I guess I'm gonna have to disagree with both of you guys. I mean, I don't think it was a dumb play. I think it was an aggressive play. Like I said earlier, if that guy makes a catch that went right through his hands and he lets up and the guy gets away from him, it's another missed tackle, and we're screaming at A. Jackson for another missed tackle. So I think it was his thing was, this guy's gonna catch his ball, I'm gonna deplete him, and to me that's what all my safeties do, and I have no problem with Eddie Jackson on that penalty.
Well, and it comes down to the timing of the play. And I mean, if it was first down instead of third, if there's a lot of things that could have changed, right? And in our opinion, would change. Right. If it wasn't going into 4th down and he does that on 1st down, 15-yard penalty, and they make the drive, then we're not really blaming Jackson, I don't think, as much as we are.
And that was only 15 yards. The mistimed play by Kyle Fuller, that was a 30-some yard gain there. So that's a bigger play, but yet that one gets overshadowed because of Jackson's penalty. And maybe, Bobby, you're right, because it was a 3rd down and long. They gave him the 1st down. I think that was really what made a bigger spotlight on it. But to me, the bigger error was Kyle Fuller, and this is not the first time we've seen Kyle Fuller mistime his jump. And either miss an interception or miss a pass breakup.
True. Yeah.
He did it with Gordon last week.
Right. Yeah. That was a bigger play. So, Eddie Jackson's going to get a lot of the heat for this, but to me, I'll take Eddie Jackson's play over Kyle Fuller's play anytime, any week,
Guys, in the chat room earlier, I'm scrolling up to see if I can find it. Somebody mentioned Rashad Coward, and is this guy potentially going to be activated because of this Kyle Long potential injury? Danny, Bobby, if we do see Coward in the lineup or part of the active lineup moving forward, are you comfortable with this converted defensive lineman playing on the offensive line? Bobby, why don't you go first?
I don't know if we really have a choice, right? I mean, there's not too many options we have in choices of who's going to play there. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I mean, we've seen the kid play a little bit, right? He's going to have to make some adjustments, but I do think, I know, like you guys were saying earlier before I got on, I do think we are hot on the market right now, looking for linemen. I think we're going to, depending on Kyle Long, right? I mean, I really don't think we see him come back, but I'd be comfortable with him going ahead and filling the spot. But I do think that, I mean, don't be surprised. We're out there shopping right now looking for some people that I know we're not going to get starting quality, but we're looking for some guys that to bring in and cover some of these holes we got now.
Danny, what do you think?
And in me, in terms of Coward, like I said, in the preseason, he showed some nice athleticism. He showed the ability, some strength, some strength at the point of attack to move guys off the line of scrimmage, which I liked. But again, he is a guy who's converted over from defensive line to offensive tackle. And he played strictly offensive tackle, right tackle in the preseason. So now, if we're talking about, do I put him in there ahead of Eric Kush? No, I feel more comfortable with Eric Kush starting, assuming he's healthy at right guard. But I would definitely think about putting Coward in ahead of Bradley Sewell, who I think came in for one snap today, and then to replace Kyle Long, and he got pulled, and that new guy they pulled off of
Witzman.
Brian Witzman was in there next thing. So maybe you if you decide to put Coward in at right guard, maybe do a little bit of what they were doing with James Daniels. You start Eric Kush off and kind of rotate Coward in until he gets his feet wet and gets more acclimated to the speed of the game, the type of lineman who's going to go up against, power, strength, so on and so forth. So maybe do something like that, and then eventually, if he continues to get better, you leave him in there as a guard. But definitely, if you're going to play him, I would not mind him playing right guard. I just wouldn't start him over Eric Kush right away. I would let him and Kush kind of battle it out, assuming Kush is healthy. But I definitely would rather have him there over Bradley Sewell, that's for sure.
Well, I know we've been complaining about Eric Kush's play the last few weeks and wondering why James Daniels wasn't out there. Well, I think we got a good taste why. James Daniels did not look good today. He just did not. He did not have a good game. He actually was a little better pass blocking than he was run blocking. Danny, what are your thoughts?
I disagree. I think it wasn't perfect, and by no means was he perfect, but I think he showed his athleticism, his ability to pull out and be able to wham block and seal off the edge defenders on a couple of those run plays. So, again, he's a rookie. He's playing. I think he's getting better as the more he plays. So, I don't think he stuck out to me like a sore thumb in terms of having a bad game. I think he acquitted himself well today. I'll go back and obviously review the tape and just to kind of break him down more, but just off of the game, TV game film, I didn't see anything that stuck out of me in terms of James Daniels having a bad game. He had no penalties that I could recall, for anything for holding or false starts or anything like that. So, to me, I think he had an okay game, and I think he's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think he's learning. He did struggle today a little bit. He's in there learning, and he's trying to soak it all in. And I think he even said in one of his own interviews that Kush is teaching him a lot, but he's been doing a lot. He even came out and said, he can't do that drop step because he gets bull rushed and gets beat. And then again, he did that a couple times today. I honestly don't know though. I'm not going to put it all on him yet. I know we talked about it earlier on our show. I think some of this is stemming from the schemes that that the center's calling up front, and some of the changes that are being made up front. Because we seen last week there were a couple guys just walked into our backfield, and I don't know if we're on track with the exact how the center makes the adjustments at the line or whatever. I don't know if we're on track with how all these plays that we're running actually what the best blocking scheme is per defense.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious in terms of you guys, Daniels, in terms of struggling, was there any particular thing? Because I don't remember anything stuck out to me that he whiffed on a block or let a guy through. They were credited for 2 sacks, and one of them was basically Trubisky was tripped up behind the line of scrimmage as he was trying to run for a first down. So really, only got 1 sack and 5 quarterback pressures. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I'll have to review the tape, but nothing to me stuck out in terms of Daniels getting manhandled.
No,
there.
I seen him. I mean, he did get bull rushed a couple times, and you see him get tossed around a little bit. He didn't give up. I don't think any of the sacks are exactly on him, but you can just tell that it's not. He's not. I wouldn't say that he's. It's not that he's not 100%. I just don't think that he's playing to the level that he's that we think he's
developing. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Well, he is still a developmental prospect, no doubt about it. I don't know. I just didn't think he got killed out there today. I didn't. Nothing stuck out to me in terms of him being overwhelmed or out-muscled or anything like that.
Well, take a look at the tape and then report back to us. Heart 4803 reminds us that Brian Witzman is on the roster. He's the 28-year-old 6'7" guard who played with under Matt Nagy with the Kansas City Chiefs. He started
after one play.
Hold on. Let me finish my thought, and then you can interrupt me, Draft Dr. Phil. Danny Shinman. In 2017, he started 13 games for the Kansas City Chiefs, and this was under Matt Nagy. So Nagy knows him well. He went out and got this guy. So perhaps this guy could be an answer for the Bears if indeed Eric Kush and Kyle Long cannot play next week or into the future.
Again, like you just said, he was a guy who played under Nagy for the Chiefs, so he's familiar with the system, familiar with the offense. And like I said earlier, one play Saul was pulled and this guy was put in right away. So, if Kush can't play next week, and obviously if Long is out, I expect this kid to get the start next week at right guard.
Heart 4803 just called you Draft Dr. Shimon. Bobby,
I'm not singing, that's for sure. I'm not gonna make any songs. So.
Thank you. Leave that to Bobby and Draft Dr. Phil. Hey, Bobby, you know anything about Witzman? And perhaps maybe this guy is the answer. I mean, he's only been in the league 4 seasons. He is a journeyman. He's been with the Vikings and the Chiefs and so forth. So maybe perhaps we shouldn't expect too much out of him. But the fact that Nagy knows him gives me some confidence that perhaps he can step in and provide some kind of relief.
Yeah, that's exactly. Shane and I had a discussion on him once we signed him. Nagy knows him, right? He's confident in his ability, and if we're not gonna, like we said earlier, if we can't find guys we're not gonna find guys. Not that we can't, but we're not gonna find guys that are starters, or we're not gonna. Unless we give up some more draft capital, we're not going to get starting offensive linemen. So who better to get than a guy that knows your offense already, and exactly. And you can bring in to substitute some of these injuries. I honestly thought that we were going to go back, maybe like pull up one of our guys from the practice squad or something. I had no clue who this guy was when he came in, but then I think it was 2 weeks ago we signed him, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I went back and obviously watched some things on him and that, and seen where he was, and I was okay. Well, obviously okay with the signing, and you got to get a guy who at least knows your offense, so he has a step above everybody else when he's coming into the season that late.
That's a key, is right. So like today, he had to be thrown into the fire as soon as Long got hurt. So you want a guy who knows the system, knows the play calls, who would be able to come in and pick things up, pick up the scheme, pick up the blitz calls, and so on and so forth. So especially against a team like the Jets, who are, like we said earlier, they're a very aggressive defensive front. Todd Bowles is an aggressive coordinator or coach by nature. I think my percentage could be off, but I think they probably blitz about 70% of the time today. It was rare if you saw them only send 3 or 4 rushers at Trubisky. I mean, they're going 3 or 4, 5, 6 rushers at a time. And of course, we talked about earlier that screen pass to Cohen. I was they bought the whole house at him.
Yeah.
So definitely you want a guy who knows the system, who's familiar with some of the play calls, some of the the protection schemes, so on and so forth. So again, if Kush is not ready to play next week, and assuming Long is out for a prolonged time, if not the remainder of the season, I think Witzman is a guy who's going to probably see, if not the start, probably the majority of snaps at right guard.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Harry pull out some guy that he's got confidence in, that's sitting out there waiting to be signed. Because as a coach, you would have to think that they have their guys that are either sitting on the free agents or just a probable guy, like, hey, if anything happens, let's go to this guy, or let's go to that guy, or let's get this guy fired up, because you can't have that mentality of, oh, nobody's going to get injured, especially when you're dealing with some of these guys that we have. Granted, I love our players, but we have some injury history with that offensive line. So besides, I think Leno, who's been in every snap for since he's been on the team, I don't think that dude's missed a snap. And I know we haven't really said anything about it, but I think he played awesome today. But there's guys out there that they have that I think that are just kind of waiting. And they know that, hey, if anything's to happen here, let's make this move or that move, and be ready to bring this guy in for a tryout or to get a look at him.
Yeah, in terms of the practice squad, I know they have Dejon Allen, the rookie guard out of Hawaii, who had some nice moments in preseason, but also there are times where he got beaten. But of course, he's a kid, he's a rookie coming in, so first time in the NFL training camp. So if anything, he might get promoted as a backup just to give some more depth. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a veteran, you're gonna have to go out there and probably find someone off the free agent wire. But again, this is all gonna depend on Long's injury. Is it how long is he going to be out? Is it season ending, so on and so forth? Kush, how's his neck doing? Is he going to be able to play next week? Dress, whatnot. So a lot to be determined within the next 3 or 4 days. And of course, the trade deadline is this week. So we'll see how these things play out.
And we'll see the confidence in whoever they bring in. I mean, if we see more rollouts and we see more, the play calling scheme, depending on the confidence that they have in the guy who's gonna suit up for Kyle, if they don't change the play calling scheme and we start getting beat from that side, well, I mean, that's just something a coach needs to think about. You have to, disguise your weaknesses and avoid your weaknesses. And if they don't start doing that and we start getting bowled over from that side, I mean, it's just another question, I think, on the coaching staff.
Right. So you're going to have to scheme to some extent in order to help protect, a deficiency on your offensive line. So
exactly.
I definitely will interested to see how that plays out if, Long, like I said, Long is out for prolonged and then Kush is out, as well. So,
Bobby, how
and you're playing a defensive front next week in Buffalo. That's they're not a great team, but they're a strong defensive unit, and they respect their coach and they play hard. So it's a team that's coming off a bye, and it's going to probably come in, or actually not a bye. They're coming off a game tomorrow night, Monday night. So, but they get after the quarterback as well. So we'll be curious to see how they adjust and who they start.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I know Phil won't like to hear it, but depending on that guard spot, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Burton suit up next weekend to fill in as an additional blocker in that backfield.
Well, you're assuming he can block. That's a problem, Burton. He can't block. If you want just someone to stand in the way, yeah, he could do that. But, I mean, in terms of block, he can't do that either.
Hey, Danny, I'm having my moment. I'm back here stirring the fucking pot. For a minute.
I hear you. Hey, Bobby, what do you think the chances are that Ryan Pace is going to pull a trade this week?
I think it's highly likely, man. I mean, you know how he is. He likes to get out. He likes to get out there. He likes to make those moves. A couple of us were talking about it earlier. I don't know if Floyd's going to actually be the move as much as we want it to be. I think we do have some depth behind him, but it's the confidence in those guys that we don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised to see. I mean, Wim suited up today, right? We started getting the ball out to White a little more. I wouldn't be surprised to see White, at least be out there. And then depending on these offers that supposedly people are calling, asking about Floyd, if there's an offer you can't, that just blows you away, you got to take it, man, and just move on and go from there.
Yeah, I was bitching to Aldo. I'm like, Wim's was suited up, but he didn't even get a snap on offense. I didn't see him out there on offense running up. I'm like, come on, let's give him a shot,
Yeah, the only target.
Here's a scenario I've kind of played in the back of my mind here. Remember that draft when the Bears traded up to the 9th spot to get Leonard Floyd? Well, the team they were trying to jump was the Giants. Supposedly the Giants, again, a whole different management team, different GM, so on and so forth. But supposedly the Giants were heavy after Leonard Floyd. So I'm thinking here, maybe the Giants, if they're still interested in Leonard Floyd in somehow, some way, Olivier Vernon I know he's been injured, but he's back from injury. He's got a bit of a high price tag, but would that be a nice guy to maybe trade and pick up and play opposite of Khalil Mack? Nothing. I'm just kind of throwing out there in kind of an imaginary world here, but that's a nice guy. The Giants are at a fire sale. Anybody, everybody, other than Saquon Barkley is available on the Giants. So, I mean, even I've heard that the Browns are trying so hard right now to pry away Odell Beckham Jr. from them right now, and the Giants are holding firm to the request of 2 first-round picks. So, anybody and everybody is available from the Giants. Now, I would hate to give any more draft capital, but if you can do a guy like Leonard Floyd for a veteran like Olivier Vernon, again, we have to talk to our Bears barroom capologist Shane to see if that salary was fit in our structure here. But because I know he comes with a heavy price tag, but anybody and everybody is available from the Giants. So that's a name that kind of intrigues me. He's a guy who's put up some sack numbers in the past. He's very strong against the run. He's familiar with a 3-4 outside linebacker defensive scheme. So, but again, that's just me, putting something out there. I'm not saying it's going to happen or anything like that.
What about the Khalil Mack's old running partner at Oakland, Bruce Irvin, who is definitely –
he's available as well.
Yes, exactly. He is definitely on the trade block. He has another year under contract after the 2018 season, so he would be around for 2019. To me, a straight-up trade, Leonard Floyd for Bruce Irvin, I'm pulling the trigger on that. I'm sorry. I know that, it could come back to haunt you 3-4 years. Leonard Floyd could finally turn things around and become a double-digit sack guy. But I want to win now. And that this team is not going to sign Leonard Floyd after the 2019 season unless he does a dramatic turnaround. So Bruce Irvin for Leonard Floyd, pull the trigger, I say.
Well, would John Gruden be kind of hesitant to deal with the Bears again since he got removed the coals for trading Khalil Mack to Chicago? Not sure, But is he interested in Leonard Floyd? Who knows? But I think they're more interested in just recouping draft capital, so they'd want draft picks instead of players. But yeah, that's a guy that brings speed. He's familiar with like I said, the system in terms of playing an outside linebacker position. That's more team speed. I would, and as a guy who's got some dog in him as well, I would not mind seeing Bruce Irvin line up opposite of Khalil Mack.
Bobby's go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Bruce Irvin either. I don't know that we go straight up though. I think like Danny was saying, I think Gruden has a little spot for us now where he doesn't really want to make a deal with us just because of the embarrassment that could be. Irvin though, I mean, he's not really having that bang up of a season. He's kind of I think he's around the same line as Floyd is anyway right now.
Yeah, but he has absolutely nobody around him on that defense.
Yeah, you're right. And all they have to do is scheme away from him. I want to say, what is he? He's in his 30s, right?
Yeah, I think he's 29 or 30, yeah. So he's up there. There's no doubt about it. He's a veteran, but I think this team could use a veteran, because I think we're in a let's win in 2018 or 2019 frame of mind before you got to start giving the big bucks to Mitch Trubisky if this is indeed your franchise quarterback. Air 54, somebody Bobby Bombs, wonders he wonders about Shane Ray. Is Shane Ray somebody that Ryan Pace should pursue?
I don't really. So everybody was talking Shane Ray before too. I don't know if I would go straight up Shane Ray with the Floyd deal. I think I'd be more inclined to do the Irvin for Floyd, but I think Ray came in, a high profile. I mean, Danny would know you're the scout, but I think he came in with a high profile and then really hasn't done much. I wasn't too keen on Ray when he came in, so I guess I'd have to go personally. I'm not a fan of the guy, but I mean, if Floyd can't get any pressure behind this line that he's playing on now, right? And it's not like he's getting double teamed, and he's not able to get around the edge. He hasn't bull rushed anybody. His spin moves or power moves have all been weak, in my opinion. you have to go after somebody, right? You have to get somebody in there that's going to at least bring you a little more, or like we've said many times, this kid needs to be put on notice. And I think it's a little late to put him on notice, though. I mean, we only have 1 week here.
Right. And in terms of both those guys, Shane Ray is a guy that came in with, his first round pick and came in as a one of those pass rush type guys, but he's been a bit of a disappointment for the Broncos. I know he's missed the last couple of games, I think, with an ankle or wrist injury. I think he only has 1 sack on the season, if I'm not mistaken, so he's not really lining it up out there in Denver. In terms of Bruce Irvin, I think he's got 3 sacks this year, but he also missed this week's game with a pec injury, so we'll have to see if he's healthy enough. But yeah, I between those two, I think Bruce Irvin will be probably a more of a better fit in terms of a guy who brings more of a speed element to the defense, a guy who has some dog in him, who has had some success rushing the passer as well. The only thing is, what would Oakland want? And I'm sure they'd want draft capital. I don't think they would take Leonard Floyd. I could be wrong, but I don't think they would. But yeah, he's a guy. I think you said he has 1 year left on his contract, so he's the guy we can definitely keep, for next year as well. So. But that pec injury always scares me. If typically when those things get hurt, they're a hit or two away from tearing, and they're off for the rest of the season. So that's something to keep an eye on. Again, but Bruce Irvin is available. I'm sure Shane Ray is available. Will Ryan Pace pull the trigger? I would hate to give up any more draft capital, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too.
But at this point, if you're thinking of going for it, and with the Khalil Mack trade and some of the other moves he's made this offseason, it looks like they're in full all-in modes. So it wouldn't surprise me if he makes a trade, to be honest with you, if he gets someone in here. But just to give him more draft capital to me right now is it'll be hard. It has to be the right fit. But we'll see what happens. We got 36 hours. Lots of rumors are out there. This might be one of the more active trade deadlines in NFL history, to be honest with you. There's a lot of, guys are, big names are being bandied about. There's people talking to the Texans about Jadeveon Clowney. There's a bunch of names out there. So, again, a lot of times with these, deadline rumors, there's always these names float out there, just, big names, and everybody gets all hyped up and nothing really happens. So we'll see what happens. But, there's a lot of talk about that, a lot of chatter.
Danny, before we say goodbye, I wanted to get a report from you on that Georgia-Florida game. I know you scouted it, the Georgia Bulldogs, an easy winner, surprisingly easy winner over Florida, 36-17. They completely annihilated Florida. But I know you were doing some scouting there. Was there any particular players that you want to give just a quick synopsis on that you either impressed you or disappointed you in that game?
Oh, no, that was a game, like I tweeted out. That's a game that's full of NFL talent. You go up and down both rosters, and those are guys that are going to be seeing play on Sundays. In terms of Florida, they got some players on defense. The defensive end, Jabari Zuniga, had a terrific game in terms of playing the run and rushing the passer. They got a junior, Ja'Kai Polite, who's got 7 sacks right now. Didn't have much of a game against Georgia, but he's a guy who's athletic, fit perfectly in terms of outside linebacker, 3-4 rush, rush outside linebacker guy. You got a linebacker that I liked. They got another defensive end, C.C. Jefferson, who's more probably in a bear scheme like a 3-4 end as opposed to an outside linebacker. They got some offensive linemen. Jawan Taylor was only a junior who played well. Martez Ivey, another offensive tackle, played well. And then in terms of Georgia, Jonathan Ledbetter is a defensive end who's more stout than fast. So he's not the guy who would probably be more of a fit as a 3-4 end. J.R. Reed is a safety. Riley Ridley is a junior receiver. He's actually the brother of Calvin Ridley. So there's tons of prospects on both teams that guys that really, really intrigue me. But a lot of names I just bandied about, those are going to be guys probably, if everything goes well in terms of their productivity and they stay healthy and they do well on the combine, those guys are going to be like the first or second round picks. So I was trying to see if there's anybody out there that we could probably sneak by in the third, fourth round, but as of right now, I think a lot of those guys were playing. Maybe a couple of the offensive linemen you could probably get, like the Martez Ivey and the Jawan Taylor might slip in the second or third round. Maybe the safety from Georgia, J.R. Reed, could slip in the third or fourth round. But yeah, I mean, tons of NFL talent, and so you know.
I was just gonna ask you that, man. Like after the Mac trade, how bad did that change up your drafting or your scouting? Your scouting profile for knowing that we don't have the first round picks, and like how bad are you begging guys to drop out of the first round in a second?
well, in terms of for me for scouting, it actually gets me more hyped up because now I'm digging in the weeds and I'm trying to find these diamond in the roughs guys who would fit. Because once you go first, second round, even third round, those guys are expected to be starters. Now you go fourth, fifth round. Those are the guys where you take chances on, guys who have traits that you like. If you're looking at an outside linebacker, which I feel you never have enough pass rushers on your defense, right. You get guys with speed and traits like length and ability to get off the ball and so on and so forth. If you're looking at safeties, you're looking at, as we all know, Adrian Amos is a free agent. Chances are they're probably not going to re-sign him. You're looking at a guy who can come up and be a run defender, a guy who has maybe some ability to go back there and drop back in coverage and help out and play the pass. You're looking at cornerbacks. Bryce Callahan, a guy I'm very, very high on, a guy I hope they find a way to sign, but a guy that I think is going to be maybe has probably outpriced himself in terms of the Bears because of the way he's played, and I think NFL has taken notice of him. He could be the best cover or nickel cornerback right now playing in the NFL. That's how good he's playing. So you're looking at a guy to replace him. Small, quick guys who might not have the length to play on the outside, but guys who have the shiftiness, the quickness to be able to match up with slot receivers inside. So those are the guys I'm looking for. A lot of these guys I just named earlier, those are probably going to be first or second day guys that the Bears may not have a chance on unless they do something where they slide down in the draft, which is always a possibility. But more so I'm looking for guys now that are going to be, late day two, day three picks that the Bears could steal. And Ryan Pace has done very well, guys, in the second and third days of the draft. So again, I'm not, I didn't like giving up 2 first-round picks for Mac. Don't get me wrong, but I love the fact that we got a high second-round pick next year. That's going to be awesome. And also the fact that we can then recoup some of these other picks by trading and going down and getting some more mid-tier, mid-round picks. And that way we can reload the roster that ways too. So, so that definitely more now, scouting and finding some guys with the traits and everything that fit the Bears system is what I'm doing, as opposed to going with a big name, guys that are projected in the first or second round.
Bobby, any final thoughts before I roll the closing music?
No, man. I mean, I was just looking in the chat. I know Diddy's saying you got Willie Young out there.
No, he's done. Willie Young is done.
But my key would be, I don't know if it's possible, but for Pace to try to get a deal done for Fowler. I think Dante Fowler coming in from Jacksonville would be a great move. But I don't know. I'm not really sure that they could pull that without giving up any draft capital, and that's obviously one thing that we need to hold close to our body. Or maybe we give up White for some draft capital, and then we can flip, Floyd for some of that and Fowler. Who knows? The way we throw it all together, it's a possibility.
There's going to be some crazy, crazy deals done, and I think some surprising deals in terms of, value that you're going to look at some of these deals, and hopefully it's in the Bears' favor, but you're going to look at some of these deals and say, they got what for who kind of thing, and to Danny's point, this is going to be one of the more craziest trade deadlines. It's just because of what's happening with the NFL. There's just more trades happening this time of the year, and so this could be a really fun time. It all happens Tuesday, so stick with us here at Bears Barroom, and we will be reporting on stuff. Danny, your final thoughts?
There's a name out there that we haven't mentioned who's also been bandied about, and that's Jordan Howard, guys. Jordan Howard is available. So you know that.
No,
he is available, and I know Phil's going to be upset. I'm not saying he's getting traded. I'm just saying that Jordan Howard, for the right price, is available.
Okay, so what's the right price to you, Danny?
For me, I wouldn't trade him. But for me, I mean, I think if they get a second-round pick, which they're not going to get a second-round pick from him. If they get a second-round pick, I think they trade him. But I don't think they're going to get a second-round pick.
There is no effing way they are trading any frontline players for a draft pick. It's not going to happen. Okay. Because what happens if you trade Jordan Howard for a second-round pick and then Tariq Cohen breaks his leg? Now you're playing who? Ryan Nall and Benny Cunningham at running back, and you've thrown away your playoff chances? Ryan Pace would be burned at the stake for doing that. It just is not going to happen. He's not that stupid to trade for a draft pick, to trade Jordan Howard for a second-round draft pick. Ain't going to happen.
I'm not predicting it. I'm not even wanting it to be to happen. I'm just saying that he is available for the right price.
Danny, I think the only possible way that Howard goes anywhere, it involves Le'Veon Bell, and I really don't think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, no,
but I think that is the only possible way that you see this dude move at all, and that's just I mean, there's I don't even know. There's just like pretty much zero chance that happens. But
although to think about it though, every week I come on here, I say they got to give this guy between 20 and 25 carries. What happens? They give him 12, they give him 14, they give him 15. And then he comes on and says, "Oh, it's because of the way the game flowed and so on and so forth." And today they gave him 22 and they won. So again, I'm a big fan of the kid. I think he should get between 20 and 25 carries minimum a game. I keep saying this every week in, week out. I'm just saying that I would not be floored if they trade Jordan Howard. Just saying.
I think that what they need to do is upgrade the offensive line at the guard position, add depth there, particularly with the bad news about Kyle Long, because we know it's not going to be good. If he's not out for the season, he's definitely going to be out for a few weeks. And so I think, we definitely have to do something to trade for, sign for, I don't care what for. Improve that offensive line, the depth of that offensive line. If this Witzman guy hopefully comes through, I'm just worried. You know me, I'm the Quentin Nelson guy. I've been harping about the need for a strong middle of the offensive line. Cody Whitehair is playing well. He's improving week to week, but these two guards, Daniels at left guard today was unimpressive. Eric Kush for the last several weeks has been unimpressive. Kyle Long was hot and cold. He wasn't terrible by any means, but now he's not there, and so there's a huge question mark with the two guard positions, and so we need help there. And so whatever Ryan Pace is doing from a trade perspective on Monday and Tuesday, I hope it's to solidify that offensive line.
Yeah, man, and my last thing on that whole line thing, you don't go out and get Harry Hiestand, one of the quote-unquote best offensive line coaches around, because you need Pro Bowl-style offensive linemen. You go out and get him because that's what he makes. That's what he develops, because he can do it with dudes. He can turn dudes into that. And, now's not – I don't think it's the time to say, like – I mean, I know we need some depth, right? We need some people, but it's time for him to show his worth. And he better have trained some of these dudes up, and they need to next man up, get in there and do their thing. And we got you for a reason, and you do what it takes to win. Let's go. And that's just my thought on it.
You guys are the best. It's fun talking football with you. And tomorrow on Bears Hour Live at 9 p.m. Central, Draft Dr. Phil is going to have some fun talking to Emery Hunt. Yes, indeed, Emery. Yeah. He's a great guy, and he knows his football. Those two guys are really going to get into the weeds and talk X's and O's and player evaluation stuff. It should be fun for the diehard Chicago Bears fan. And on Wednesday, no matter what kind of a fan you are, if you are a casual fan, if you are a heavy-duty fan, Bears 100 Proof is the show for you, because that's the show. It's the Hump Day show. It's the show in the middle of the week where we just all get together for a few laughs. We do some analysis. We play some original music. It's like our variety, I guess you could call it variety rum-soaked show. And then on Wednesday night before 55, he's going to have somebody who writes about the Buffalo Bills on tap to talk about the Buffalo Bills team and give us a really good understanding of what that team is looking like. Thursday Tuesday. It is Let's Talk It Out with Trey Busy. Everybody's talking about this show and the good that it's doing, so you need to turn that show on. The Goon will have his fantasy football show out on Thursday on the podcast stream. On Friday, it's Mike North Advantage. I don't think Mike had a great day today. I think he was 1-3, or maybe 2-2. I'm not quite sure, but we'll straighten that out and get Mike back on his impeccable streak that he started the season with. And then next Sunday, to get us ready for that Buffalo Bills show, it will be the Barfly Tailgate Show. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Oh. Something special is going to happen next week, right, Bobby? We're going to have some original music by a local Chicago band.
We will. We got a couple of local Chicago bands that are going to provide us with intros. Got to spread the love and get some of these guys out there and let them get their stuff online. And I don't know any of these guys. It's not like they're my friends. I just figured, hell, if we're going to do it, let's spread the love amongst Bears fans and get everybody involved in this Bears barroom thing that you've built, Aldo.
I love what you guys are doing with the Barfly Tailgate Show. It's not only great football talk, you have public service. The badge section is just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then you got, B. Diddy, Little Nicky, Air Jer, Gaines Report, all those guys chipping in their football knowledge and their passion for the Chicago Bears. It's just so interesting. Lots of ton stuff. I know you're going to be interviewing another Barfly this week too. Do you have somebody selected, or is that going to be a surprise for us?
So I have 2 selected right now. I'm going to dwindle it down and we'll see how it goes. But we'll have a little Barfly spotlight for you. We'll see which one of these guys wants to step up in the pocket and deliver.
You can hear it all on Mixlr.com, Mixlr.com. You can download the app onto your phone and then just listen from your phone no matter where you're at. If you're on your way to church, you can listen to the Barfly Tailgate Show. You can sit in the back pew, listen while the sermon is going on.
Just keep the volume down, right?
Exactly. We got to bring your headsets to church every Sunday, right?
I got to find that church I posted last week. There was the priest up there giving the sermon was wearing a Forte jersey. I got to find this dude.
Oh, that's right. I did see that. Definitely. That's a house of worship I want to go to. All right, everybody. Thanks for everybody that stopped by the chat room to join us live. The show will be out in podcast version in another hour or two. Remember, if you drink, please do not drive, and always bear down.
Bear down. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it, man. Danny, pleasure
talking
Bobby. With you again.
It's always talking to you, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Of course.
Let me kick it like it's 1986 now.